My name is Kambiz Bazadi. I've been practicing orthopedic surgery for 30 years. I want to talk to you about a concept that can fundamentally change the practice of orthopedics. I call it autonomous orthopedics. The orthopedic implant market is a $50 billion industry, and the orthopedic disposable market is a $70 billion industry. Autonomous orthopedics can tap into these markets by fully automating the force-driven tasks in orthopedics, solving a major problem in orthopedic surgery, making orthopedic surgery safer for patients, and saving money for insurance. Orthopedic surgeons use a lot of force to install implants. In a sense, we're like mechanics in other industries that assemble things together. In these industries, there are strict standardization rules for materials, design, and assembly. These are referred to as ISO. These rules help maintain a high level of safety and reliability in the final product. However, in orthopedics, we only have standardization rules for materials and design. We have no standardization rules for assembly. We need to standardize assembly because we use large forces in a skeletal system that exhibits large variations of bone density. We apply force with sensory-motor skills that are difficult to teach and require years of practice to learn. Many surgeons never achieve the proper level of experience to do a good job. Variability in technique in an unpredictable environment creates variability in outcome. In total hip replacement, 50% of the failures occur because surgeons install implants either too loose or too tight, causing aseptic loosening or fracture. This is a $7 billion market. And similar problems exist with intramedullary nails used for long bone fractures, a $15 billion market. Successful outcomes are a function of both the position of the implant and the force we use to install the implant. And traditional robots have focused on position but have neglected force comprehension and adaptation. This is because it's easier to automate position with distance sensors and more difficult to automate sensors' motor skills. However, majority of the surgeon's problems and anxiety have to do with force and not position. How much do I ream? How hard should I impact? And when should I stop impacting? This is the unmet need that remains unaddressed, and the reason why adoption of robotic total hip systems remains at 1%, despite billions of dollars of R&D and marketing. To solve this problem, we need an AI-powered robotic system that measures, adapts, and applies just the right amount of force, not too much and not too little. However, to automate force, we need data, and the challenge is that our decision-making is based on experience, not data. If we can figure out how to base our decisions on data instead of tactile feel, we can automate surgical procedures, which creates consistency in technique, which then creates consistency in outcomes. We do this by integrating sensors and control algorithms into our basic cutting and impacting tools. By digitizing these tools, we turn them into electromechanical systems that can measure and collect data, shifting orthopedic surgery from a qualitative, tactile-based practice into a quantitative, data-driven process. These tools include electronic signature sizing of bone, which uses electronic analogs of mechanical systems to size bone cavity based on bone density, automatic prosthesis installation machine, a sensor-based system that modulates impaction forces for optimal press fit, reducing fracture risk, and vibratory insertion of orthopedic implants. I missed the slide there. Vibratory insertion of orthopedic implants, an insertion method that reduces bone damage while optimizing implant position. With the advent of physical AI, we consider these electromechanical tools as a platform for development of the first AI-driven physical system in the medical field. By integrating machine learning, accelerated computing, and robotic actuators into these tools, we conceived of specialized robots that can sense, think, and interact with the human skeletal environment. The physical AI attributes of these tools include a physics-informed neural network that is trained on biomechanical stimulations, as well as real-world surgical data, accelerated computing that enables rapid processing of complex models, and a robotic system that integrates sensors, actuators, and control systems to enable real-time perception, decision-making, and actuation. The final tool, then, is robotic tools for force application in orthopedics that sense, collect data, use neural networks to predict the patient's response, and then use AI-driven control loops to apply force for optimal seating and minimal trauma. The AI revolution has shifted from content creation to physical AI. With $15 billion in revision surgery costs, there's urgent need for automation in orthopedic surgery to reduce failures. Surgeons, hospitals, and device companies all seek next-gen solutions. The primary customers are the four major strategics seeking market dominance. Secondary customers are surgeons and hospitals seeking efficiency. And the most important customers are patients demanding improved outcomes. For the strategics, any tool that gives them an advantage translates into market share gains in implant sales to the tune of billions of dollars. Separately, autonomous orthopedics will create its own market in the orthopedic disposable world. In hip and trauma surgeries with 100% adoption, the AO disposables alone have the potential for $12 billion in annual revenue. The revenue streams for autonomous orthopedics include device sales, disposables, AI and data licensing, and the ability to charge a premium for a standardization process that's providing significant cost savings. The implementation strategy is a phased deployment model. The first phase involves development of the electromechanical prototypes capable of measuring bone resistance and dynamic responses to force application. The second phase involves AI augmentation, developing machine learning algorithms that infer optimal reaming and implant seating. The third phase involves transitioning from passive force measurement to active force regulation. The fourth, regulatory pathways with 510(k) notification. The fifth, clinical trials and surgeon adoption. And the sixth, market penetration and scalability with data sharing networks for AI refinement. Autonomous orthopedics is the first force-intelligent AI robotic system that's designed for managing large forces. It eliminates guesswork and human error. It standardizes force application, setting it apart from traditional robotic systems that only deal with position. We have several patents relating to this subject matter. We need $6 million to develop the electromechanical prototypes, integrate AI and robotic components to complete the first 3 phases of our development plan. At this point, I'm the only member of this team. We're in communication with AI and robotic experts in US and Europe who are very excited to work on this project. The exit strategy is acquisition by one of the 4 major strategics, or IPO upon market dominance. In 3 years, autonomous orthopedics will revolutionize orthopedic surgery by enhancing real-time surgical augmentation. Surgeons will no longer rely on personal experience to judge force application. AI-assisted robots would dynamically modulate reaming, broaching, and implant impaction. Generalist surgeons will be as good as specialist surgeons, democratizing orthopedic excellence. And the economics of surgery will be redefined where monetization of the surgical process takes priority over product. Autonomous orthopedics represents a foundational shift in orthopedic surgery where force-intelligent robots replace manual technique. It will transition from concept to necessity, ushering a new era of safety and efficiency in orthopedic procedures. Thank you.